to Unapologetically Fierce with Faythe, brought to you by CKJ Live. This is a safe place where my beloved tribe members and I put anything and everything on the table and dish the unfiltered tea. We are not just a podcast, we are a movement. So get your favorite beverage on hand and enjoy the show. Hello, everyone.
Hi, lady.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Doing good for you.
That's great. Well, I'm excited to be talking about, it's my turn to talk about self-care. We've heard about fitness and great things about fitness and finances so far. So that's really good. Today, I am going to talk to you about mental health. And it's funny because where fitness and finance, all of these are really, really important. But like fitness and finance, it's kind of like you could see it. But don't you think like with mental, you can't see it because someone could be crazy and you don't even know what's going on with them. They can, with fitness, you can do a lot. With finance, you can do a lot. But with fitness, with mental health, it's just really tricky. And so today and mental health is your journey within. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, my journey through therapy. But first, what I want to do, one thing about stress, it has many different faces and no one person deals with it the same. So we can deal with stress in so many different ways. A question that I want to pose to you ladies tonight is from 1 to 10, 10 being I have a great handle on my stress, to 1, I have no control. I will crawl up in my closet and just cry my eyes out. How would you rate your relationship with stress?
I'll start. I would say I'm a 10. I really don't get stressed out. And I think it's because I'm so vocal. I get it all out. I get it all out before I allow it to build up in me. So I'm a 10.
That's good.
For me, it's interesting because it depends on how it is. Like, I feel like I handle like stress differently depending on what the issue is that's causing me stress. Like work stress, I seem to have a very good handle on. So I would say maybe I'm like an 8, unless there's some sort of weather situation, because that's the field that I'm in that causes a lot more stress. But typically speaking, I'm about like an 8. Personal life stress, I tend to take other people's problems as my own and just kind of like let that get to me. So that I have a little less control over. So those things put me at like a 5 or a 6. So that's where I need help.
Yeah, for me, that is like a pendulum swinging back and forth. Like for the most part, I want to say that I tend to manage stress pretty well. I have some tools in place that I use to kind of help cope with stress, like or go-tos, like talking to a friend, going on walks, exercise, etc. So I'm usually at around an 8 or 9, like in terms of like coping with stress. The thing with me too, though, is that I can sometimes let things build up and become overwhelmed. And when I am overwhelmed, I'm pretty much useless. And that's where I'm at like a level 1 or 2, where I just going crazy until the stress kind of dissipates. So it's, the pendulum swings. Most days, I want to say I'm a solid 8. Like I can handle most things that come at me and I don't really lose too much sleep over it. It depends on, the circumstance.
Okay. Well, I think that I also kind of like range, but to be honest and to be transparent, I have been the one that has been in my closet and like, okay, what happens next? Like, okay, everything is breaking. So I could be that person at 1, maybe even less than that, depending, but then I can build myself and, say affirmations and do everything, but sometimes it doesn't stick. And again, it's because of stuff that's happened, happened before. And like, as you said, Myrna, the buildup. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share a story with you about my journey with anxiety, which is a form of stress. I never really knew that I had anxiety for years until I started seeing a therapist. And in our community, therapist is not, especially with West Indians, you don't talk about that. People say, go to church. What you have problems? Let me give you something to cry for. Like you have real problems or whatever. But a lot of times the trauma builds up, which causes us, it caused myself, which was like through anxiety, is that I did not speak. Like Carrie, you said that you're like a 10. I didn't speak because I find myself as being a processor. And so I was processing everything that was happening around me. And what happened was that it built up so deep that I was just like, I wasn't a basket case, but I was just like, okay, this ain't working. This is affecting my relationships. It's affecting a lot of different things. Let me take charge of it. So about 12 years ago, I found myself at a crossroad. I was actually, about 34. I was in my mid 30s. I was contemplating a career change. I had actually given up. I'd quit my job and I'd actually taken a leap of faith and decided to do something that really, it didn't work out, but I didn't really think about it then. And I just felt like I was at a low point because I'm just like, wow, what did I do in my 20s? What did I do in my 30s? I really don't want to go into my 40s like this. And again, it was just built up stuff that I was holding on to, like childhood trauma that, what people would do around me, it would trigger me. And I was just like, okay, I need to get control of this because, I'm dealing with all this while people are just walking around their merry way. And I'm holding the bag and I didn't want to hold that bag anymore. So I remember I was in grad school and I had like my insurance really didn't cover therapy, but the program that I was in, they actually offered that you could speak to somebody. So it was kind of like, I think it was like they call it like peer counseling or something. So I had an advisor that I would speak to and I was just like, hey, I'm in school after all these years. I don't know what's going on. And then I would have a meltdown. I was just like, oh my gosh, all this stuff that's happened that has built up. But what made, and another thing too, is that I was tired because I was mute and I wasn't vocal of the pain that I felt inside. I was tired of accepting the bare minimum from people because I'm just like, okay, but then I felt like, okay, I'll just accept it. So I knew I deserved better and I just started talking. So with that led me to about a few more therapists after that. And it wasn't really consistent because again, I don't think until recently, probably, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, probably like the last 10 years or maybe like 5 to 8 years has it been where like your insurance really pays for like mental health. Because when you think about mental health, you think, okay, are you crazy? Like, people think of stuff like that. So when I found out that, okay, my insurance pays for it, little no copay, and most therapists are under that, I was like, you know what? Let me take care of myself and go to a therapist. Yeah, I didn't find the right one, like right then. I had to go through a few. And again, I did not like that because I felt like I had to go over and over, start from the beginning and be like, okay, I'm here. What next? That was difficult because you don't want to keep on telling your whole story over and over again because then it just leaves wounds that are open and it triggers you. So, I kept on going. I moved down back to South Florida. I was still trying to find someone. And again, it was inconsistent. I think the last 3 years, it's where it was consistent. I was seeing this one person, and my insurance company paid for it. So I had no copay, but I could not feel a connection to her because I was going through some stuff, and she's looking at me like I felt like she was passing judgment on me. And I think that I was just like, oh, this ain't gonna work. Not that, you have different therapists that may coddle you, that may tell you the truth, but sometimes I like cognitive therapy because, again, it's like you have a sore. It goes deep in and then you come out. So that really helps for me. And it's a great form of self-care. So I started seeing the person that I'm seeing now. She's awesome. She connected with me. I've been seeing her for about a year and a half. It's been really, really good. And one thing that she reminds me of is that I'm not alone. And also, because I'm a giver, I like to give. I felt like, this is a point. If I don't receive anything, I receive something within these 60 minutes. She gives me nuggets. She teaches me how to cope. She teaches me how to deal with what I'm dealing with. She teaches me how to deal with triggers. And like when I get triggered, I'm not in a closet somewhere crying my eyes out, wondering what the hell is going on and how can I fix it, And again, I was holding it in. I held it in, and you're talking about like years and years and years of stuff. And I did not want to talk to my friends about it because I felt like if I went deep within, a lot of times, you get into like friendships. They may be like friendships are for all different types of things, but you get superficial. You don't get sometimes, and in society, we're so shallow that you don't want to really get deep. You're afraid to get deep because if you get deep, you're going to have to face stuff. When I'm in sessions with my therapist, I don't think about that. I get deep. Well, now I don't sit on your couch, but now I talk to you virtually and, you get me. You can tell me, you can give me good advice. You can help me how to go, what are the next steps I need to take? How do I get from this? How do I not get cured, but how do I deal with life? Because with all that's going on in the world, I was mentioning to you guys about, when we're with COVID and everything like that, you can't even hug anybody anymore. So if you're not in a relationship, if you're not with someone where you can just like hug them and really get an embrace, you'd be surprised how an embrace gets you through. So, and with also, with therapy, it also helps you get through, it gets you through a lot of different moments in your life. One of the good things that my therapist helped me learn about is not holding stuff within. And I'm not going to say that I'm good at that because I still am good. I still do hold stuff in. I still do take stuff personally. But again, it's like baby steps. And I just tell myself over and over, be good to yourself. I think now I go on a consistent basis. Like 2 years ago, my very best friend from college, she committed suicide. And that was the worst thing that could ever happen to me because I felt like my world was crashed. I don't have siblings, and she was like the closest thing. But she held, she looked strong. She looked, the part, but yet she was crying within. And that just kind of motivated me to invest in myself even more and get what's within out and talk to someone, deal with it. So I do have a question for you guys. Because it's not good to see someone go through that. And therapy, people may not think it's for them. People may think that they don't need it. But my outro question is, what inspires you to keep on going and not giving up, even on your most difficult and darkest times? Carrie?
I would probably say I'm goal oriented, and I know a lot of the other ladies probably will say the same thing about themselves. I'm goal oriented, and I try to keep my mind focused on the prize. And even if I can't meet it or make it, I adjust it and then make another one. So there's always something to look forward to. There's always something to plan. Right now, I have two friends that want to plan trips. One is for July and one is for January. So I'm kind of excited about that. And I'm looking forward to it, even though we're 40 degrees here today. So I'm looking forward to what's to come and just getting ready for that. So really the future. And of course, I'm going to say my family, but don't want to be so cliche, but it's really my goals and meeting and making them and adjusting them. That's the fun part. It's never the end result. It's, I think, it's the mission, it's the journey, it's the process, it's getting there.
Pam?
For me, it's always the idea that I'm just one step away from where I want to be. Every day I'm getting closer to the things that I want in my life. And I'm if I give up now, I'll never get to experience those things. So you never know how close you are to being where you want to be. So it's just every day you get a fresh new start. And you just keep that in mind, and I feel that keeps you going. At least it does me. That's always my go-to. And, the plans that I have, the people that I want to bring into my life, or the people that I have in my life that I want to see get to certain places, all of those things are just one day away. So I just keep that in mind.
Myrna?
For me, I think I kind of like the ladies, I'm a very goal-oriented person. So having stuff ahead to look forward to is always important for me. It's just kind of keeping in mind where I want to be. As we talked about in my fitness journey, goals are hugely important for me. And I set certain goals so that I know that I'm striving, just a little bit out of reach, because I like to reach pretty far and get out of my comfort zone a lot. But the other thing, and like Carrie said, I don't want to sound cliche, but for me, is my family. That grounds me in a lot of ways, and just kind of reminds me of why I do whatever it is that I'm doing. And whenever I'm sort of losing sight of that and just kind of feeling like I don't have a why, why am I doing something? My family is the thing that always, reminds me what I'm here for. That's going to be my greatest legacy, is the children that I have and the family that I have. So that's one way to always kind of put things back in perspective and in focus for me, is my children primarily, but my family generally.
Okay. Well, I know what inspires me is that the anxiety is not the end all. And I know, as a believer, I know that God has done so much for me already and continues to do great things. So I know that he's not done with me yet, even though that sounds very cliche. He's not done with me yet, and I've got things to do. So where I used to, and what I started doing, is not comparing my journey. We all have different journeys. And a lot of times with social media, with a lot of different things, you see the great pictures, you see all of this, and you're like, well, they're doing that. Why can't I do that? Or why, your question is why? But maybe it's not your time yet, I'd like to end with this. And it's funny because as a former teacher, this always sticks to me, this quote. And actually, it was, I think yesterday was Dr. Seuss Day. So, and I love this, is be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. by Dr. Seuss. And I think that will get a lot of people, and, you know, even though Dr. Seuss is for kids or whatever, but I think that from, you know, just something simple like that, that will make you like keep going. So, you know, I'm not a professional. I don't know. I can only speak from my journey alone. But definitely invest in a therapist. Like, again, if you feel like you need someone to talk to, you don't want to talk to your family, you don't want to talk to your friend, you feel like you may be burdening your friends, go speak to someone that knows nothing about you and really not judging you. And make sure, you know, the first one may not be the fit, the second one may not be the fit, but just keep on that journey and you'll find that person. And, you know, you'll become accountable, you know, with your goal setting, you know, and it will be great. So that is that on mental health. I'm excited about next week to conclude our self-care. Tamara will be talking about skincare, and I'm really trying to get this melanin pop to stay popping because it's already
I got
popping.
you. We're gonna be popping on 21. Like, I got you. Don't worry.
So
I'm for sure I'm looking forward to next week. Hopefully we get some pointers. Yeah. You know, 41 but forever 29 at heart. So I'm gonna be here for it, taking notes.
Thank you for joining us at Unapologetically Fierce with Faythe, brought to you by CKJ Live. Come back and visit again to hear more of the unfiltered tea that we are ready to dish. And remember, we are not just a podcast, we are a movement.